We're going to use a piece of punchinella. We're going to use whatever you have for a dry brush. I like these Crafter's Choice dome rounds. We're going to use a little bit of Deco Arts Media Metallic, and we're going to use the gold. And I'm not going to stipple. Instead, I'm just going to lightly brush, and I'm not pressing very hard, just lightly to get that nice gold appearance. I'm going to reposition my punchinella down here. Okay, I'm going to reload my brush, take some of that paint off. Again, I'm not pressing very hard. I'm going to reapply my punchinella because I want it a little brighter right around the edges spots. There we go. It's one of my prints, and I positioned a cutout of my flower onto my gel print to kind of determine where did I like the design and the pattern print, and then I cut it out of my gel print. And I've also transferred my flower to my background. So I'm going to take my decoupage. I'm using an old brush. Don't use a new brush for this. This is definitely not something that you want to use a good brush with. I like a flat brush. Because add a little bit. I don't have to add a ton because I've already put decoupage on the back of all my petals. I have not cut out the center of my flower, and I did cut out where the petals separate at the top. And I'm just finger pressing it down for right now. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue underneath my petals. And I've got one petal right here which is over the edge, and I can just clip that off in just a minute. So I'm going to go back over the top of it. You want to get enough on there to get a good seal, and that looks pretty good. We're going to use our yellow and orange piece of gel printed paper that we printed, and we're going to position this somewhere in this area, and I'm going to cut the center out, and I will be right back like that. I'm going to do the same thing with my decoupage that I did for my petals. We're going to do the leaf, and I've already cut it out of paper, as you can see, and we're going to glue it right to this location on our tag, and add your decoupage. I'm going to place my leaf. Got it. Now I'm going to go right over the top. We are going to base coat the stem, and I'm using a little olive green. I'm going to use a little bit of a dark green to shade our stem. Highlight our stem. We're going to use this neon scorching yellow. We have this nice pattern already on our leaf, and we don't want to eliminate that. We just want to accentuate it. Take a little bit of olive green, and let's just add, even though this is a light color, we're just going to kind of define this leaf. right down here, and I'm just float shading this. And I'm just going to kind of walk that color out into the lower section of my leaf. Then I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to do the same thing to the top. All we're doing is giving our leaf some color definition. I'm going to shade with a little bit of Hauser dark green. And I'm going to start down here right in my stem. And I'm going to come right up through the vein like so. And I'm going to do it again, and this time I'm just going to kind of walk that color out into those shaded areas of my leaf. Same color. And I'm going to kind of go over the top of where that olive green was. We're going to add some detail to our flower. So you can see I've already transferred all of the lines for my petals. And I am going to start with Indian turquoise. So I'm going to just start by just kind of defining the bottom area of my petals. And this is going to be very subtle. You're not going to see a lot of this. I'm going to leave this one right here just the way it is because it's actually over the top of two other petals. We're going to use phthalo blue. It's a very, very strong paint color. So you want to make sure that you work that as you just want a little bit of a glaze float. Let's start, and everywhere where a petal is underneath, we're going to go right over the top. And because we're going over the top of that Indian turquoise that we just added to our flower, it just glazes nicely right over the top of it. And this one just got a little bit darker, but it's okay because I'm going to go back over the top of all of these. Okay, I'm going to turn this around and do the other side. Here, and I'll kind of blend it up a little bit. This one is over the top again. So okay, you can see where I've added quite a bit of shading. I'm going to do that again, and I'm just going to continue adding light layers until I'm happy with the result. Blend with the heel of my brush, pinch that off, come back in, and I'm starting to get some nice, deep, rich shadows. Take this round brush. This is a 6 round. I'm going to take my paint. I've got a lot of water on my brush, and I'm just going to blend that out just a bit. And I'm going to take most of the water off of my brush onto this paper towel. And some areas I'm just going to darken with that light glazed mix. And I'm just going to add some additional shadows right into that area of that one. And up here on this one. And the way my papers are looking here, I can probably just leave that be. But normally what I would do would be to rinse my brush off with clean water, squeegee the water out of it with my fingers, and then just softly blend that paint out. But I'm not finding I need to do that for this. I'm going to wipe some of it off on my paper towel. I'm going to add a little bit more glazing. Rinse my brush out because this one is looking. Squeegee the water out and blend. Nice amount of shading there. Perfect. Add some highlights. We are just going to use a little bit of Snow White. Fill it with off on a paper towel. Load that white into those highlighted areas. Rinse out my brush, dry it on a paper towel, squeegee it, and then just blend it. Blend that paint down. I'm going to hold off on this one yet. I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight down here. Come up into my shaded area. Okay, that looks beautiful, deep and rich, and the combination of the paper and the paint just makes for an absolutely stunning flower. We need to shade the center of each one of our petals, so we're going to use a little bit of that Fluid Acrylics Phthalo Blue again. Okay, we're going to shade the center vein of our That looks good. Now I could add a little bit more shading to a few of my petals, and again I'm going to use that number 6 round where I've added some paint to my brush. I'm going to wipe it off on my paper towel, and then I'm just going to add just little bits of a darker value, just certain areas of my petal where I think it might be a little darker, especially this one that we haven't done a lot to yet. And I'm just kind of starting on the outside and coming in kind of in that triangle shape. Now I'm just blending. Rinse my brush, wipe it on my paper towel, squeegee it, and then it's time to blend. Okay, taking my round brush again, a little bit of my scorching yellow, my neon, thinning it way, way down on my palette, very, very thin, and I'm just going to add some scorching yellow to those lightest areas. I've got the scorching yellow so light on my brush that it really truly is never going to, it doesn't need to be blended, but you could blend it if you wanted to. And I'm going to do that with the rest of my petals. Let's shade the center of a little bit of orange flame. I'm going to take my round again, thin down my orange flame. Just going to lay some paint in where I think it's going to be the darkest. Kind of up around the sides. Clean my brush, wipe it on my paper towel, squeegee it out, and then blend. Okay, let's work on shading our leaf a little bit. We don't have to do a lot because we have all of this great pattern, just like we had up here on our flower. We're going to use a little bit of Hauser dark green. And I'm just thinning it way down. I'm going to wipe it on my paper towel, just a hair. And I have to figure out where is this leaf going to be the darkest. And it's definitely going to be darker up here, about like so. And I would think that this would be darker in there. And then rinse my brush, squeegee and I can blend here. And I do believe we're going to see it's going to be darker in here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just laying in that shadowed paint color, my Hauser dark green. Okay, rinse, squeegee, blend. And that's that side of it. Needs darker up in here, right into that vein. A little darker in here. A little darker in here. Here. There. Let's do that again. Rinse, wipe, squeegee, blend. Rinse, blend. Okay, we're getting there. Now, we've added in, we could do that again, but we can also, just to give you another idea what to do with this, we can also do a little floating. So that's pretty dry. Let's just float in that color just to darken it just a bit. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. Let's do the same thing to some of these veins. I don't want to eliminate all that pattern that we've worked on to get through our gel print, but I just want to give it some definition. All right, let's take a little bit of olive green. Now let's use a little neon scorching yellow. we are going to add a little saying along the side of our tag here. And this is a Lori Spelt stencil. This is one of her spring writing words, I think they're called. I love these. I think they are, she has some great sayings on here and so many uses. I think I'm going to use this flower market. You could use any of these that you want to. I need to figure out where I want to place it, and I'm going to position it right along the bottom of my tag. I think that'll work. I'm going to use a makeup sponge, and I'm using Indian turquoise. Alright, I'm just going to hold it tight down onto my tag and start stenciling. Now, if you prefer to do this with the stencil brush, go right ahead. We're going to paint the orange dots onto these flowers, and we're using Orange Flame. I've already transferred them. It'll take a couple coats to cover the blue. If you wanted to get really great coverage on these, you could cover them undercoat with like a tan, a fawn, or any sort of neutral color. To kind of enhance that, so we're going to add a little bit of Napa Red. And Napa Red is a very transparent color, and so it tends to be a lovely, lovely shading color for orange. Some of these I'm just going to put a little shadow on just down towards the bottom. I'm not going to shade the whole dot, just a portion of it down here at the bottom. Just gives it a little bit more definition. Next, take a little bit of that scorching yellow and we'll highlight those dots. We've already added some highlight to this with the scorching yellow, so this will just be kind of an extension of it. Here too. I'm going to deepen the shadow up in this just a little bit with a little Napa red, or into the darkest areas. Like right about here. Alright, I added another blue little piece up here because I'm going to punch a hole through this and then I could hang this as a tag. Alright, let's paint the black checks. I'm going to, with an 01 micron, I'm going to outline some of this. Okay, we're going to stitch right around these little dots. There's all the lining and the stitch work, and this gel printed paper just looks beautiful, I think, on this. You could add some sort of sweet sentiment to the back. You could do some beautiful calligraphy back here. You could add, this is a purchased pocket, but you could make your own if you wanted to. Add something to the back. This will fit a gift card, or you could put a nice little personalized note in there. So this card would be a wonderful birthday card. I can see it as an Easter card or any kind of spring celebration card. And you can put these in a regular sized envelope and mail them out with a forever stamp. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this project. I'll look forward to seeing your projects as you share them on Facebook.